Chancellor Dr. Trevor Manuel, Vice-Chancellor Dr. Prince Nevutalu, members of the academic and administrative staff, graduands, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a pleasure to be invited to address this august gathering of graduands and to be present at this impressive graduation ceremony. All of you young people who are graduating from the Faculty of Education and Social Sciences of this wonderful university are to be heartily congratulated on your achievement, and I take off my hat to you. You are the youth of this wonderful country of ours, and the future of South Africa is in your hands and the hands of all of the young people of the country. We and the country have a long road to walk into the future, and it will be up to all of you to take the country over the roads which lie ahead of us. You are starting the next phase of your lives, and I would like perhaps to give a title to this address of mine, which title is, Life is What You Make It. You, my friends, can be whatever you set your mind to do. It will take hard work, but very little in life comes easy, and hard work will take you successfully into the future. Let me describe to you in a small way how I myself have made my life work. Despite the fact that I have been faced with a number of differing choices in my careers. I have two adult sons, both running their successful companies, and when they started their working lives, I told them my philosophy on work, namely, and now I'm addressing you young people, when you start work, work every hour that your boss wants you to work, and if you are asked to do something which is not in your job description, just do it. Because if you work like that, your boss will say to himself, that young person is a good hard worker, and you will be noted by him as someone he can depend upon. So go out there, you good people, and live your lives. Opportunities will arise for you, and all I can say to you is grasp those opportunities, work hard at them, and you will make a success of them. Then those opportunities will make other opportunities, and before you know where you are, you will start to achieve lots of things which will help you and your families and the country. I often remind myself and remind others of the words of the late President John F. Kennedy, who, when he was inaugurated as President of the United States of America, said in his inaugural speech, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask only what you can do for your country." Because life is what you make it. That's the title of my address. Life is what you make it. And let me give you a short description of how I made my life. I started my working life as a cadet in the Merchant Navy. I became a ship's officer and worked hard, and I became a captain at age 26 years. I had a large crew, and I believe you will laugh when I tell you that in those days, the officers and crew looked upon the captain as the old man. That certainly applied to my ship. I was the old man to them, although out of a big crew of 74, I was actually the youngest person on the ship, but still the old man. Then I left the sea in 1960 because I wanted a home life with my family. And I went from being a captain to being a stevedore foreman. That was a huge drop in prestige. But I worked hard, and I finished up becoming the chairman and managing director of the biggest stevedoring company in the world, which was here in South Africa. After a few years, I was headhunted, and then I joined a German shipping company as managing director of a number of companies in the field of shipping. The main company was Cape Continent Shipping Company. We owned and operated 4 ships trading all over the world. While holding that position, and you're going to smile when I tell you this, I hope, my shareholders went out and bought 4 farms in what was then the Northern Transvaal, now the province of Limpopo. They then formed a holding company to operate the farms and told me that I was the managing director of the farming company. I was surprised because, as I said to them, I know absolutely nothing about farming, and in fact, I barely know the front end of a cow from the back end. However, the shareholders told me to do it, so I worked hard and did it. Now, after that experience, I can definitely tell you that I know the front end of a cow from the back end. Then I retired and joined the Urban Foundation, one of South Africa's leading development agencies. And I had another huge learning curve in becoming knowledgeable in the fields of housing, education, skills development, job creation, and other things like that. I stayed there for 9 years, and I retired again and took up consultancy in many of those fields. During those years, I was asked to join the Rotary organization, and in my 20 years with Rotary, I became club president on 3 occasions. Rotary and other similar service organizations gives its members the chance to work for their communities, and instead of just taking things from the community, you learn how to use your efforts and assist your community. This is just what Jack Kennedy said, namely, ask what you can do for your community. At roughly the same time, I was asked to stand for council in Sandton, which is north of Johannesburg. At first I was somewhat reluctant, but then I thought, what the hell, give it a go. So I stood for election and became a town councillor. I was a councillor for 6 or 7 years and eventually became deputy mayor of the town. I learned a lot about town planning and running a town, and that was another experience from which I personally benefited, and I hope the people of the town benefited also. I joined the Dell Computer Company and was instrumental in helping them to set up and develop a school program of donating computers to schools throughout the country. I stayed with them for 10 years, during which I had visited hundreds of schools with previously disadvantaged pupils and had arranged donations of more than 10,000 new computers to those schools. I was and still am particularly proud of my efforts in the village of Botlokwa. Now, if you know the province of Limpopo at all, Botlokwa is halfway up between Polokwane and Makhado. And I visited that village and learned that there were 29 schools in the village. And together with my wife, I visited the village on many, many occasions and met all the school principals. The end result was that about 340 or 350 computers were given to those schools and all networked with each other. My wife and I also managed to find about 4,000 or 5,000 books which we were able to send to Botlokwa and which formed the basis of the first library in the village. So what had we done? We had helped that community. During those years with Dell, I learned about computers and computerization, a subject about which I had previously known absolutely nothing. So I started to understand the benefits of technology. And while only having a working knowledge of computers and technology, I came to realize that technology, mathematics, science, etc., is vital for the future of our country. So that is where you are, ladies and gentlemen, you young people who are graduating. You are entering a world where your university degree and what you have learned are essential for your future and for the future of this beautiful country in which we live. I mentioned the word technology, and this university being what it is, I am sure you know a lot more than I do about technology and science. But as I understand the words, technology is scientific knowledge used in practical ways in industry. As I also understand it, science and technology are linked hand in hand. Science being the studies, trials and successes of experiments and intellectual activity in the real world. I mentioned that phrase again, the real world. And that is where you are all going, young people, out into the real world. The real world is where, for example, your Chancellor, Dr. Trevor Manuel, has been the leader in creating for us all the National Development Plan, a plan for the future to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality by the year 2030 through uniting South Africans, unleashing the energy of its citizens, growing an inclusive economy, building capabilities, enhancing the capability of the state and leaders working together to solve complex problems. That, dear graduands, and I'm stressing that word, graduands, because my wife, and we have been married for 61 years, like a lot of wives, she's the fount of all knowledge. And she said to me when she was helping with this speech, don't use the word graduates, use the word graduands, because a graduand is a person who is going to receive a degree from a university. So there we are, your graduands, ladies and gentlemen, and you will have the advantage of being graduates of this wonderful establishment, and I'm sure that you'll use the experience and knowledge you have learned to have a great future. You will have your own families, and their future will be in their hands, just as our future is in your hands right now. I personally have never been to university and therefore have no university degree. I, however, have learned a great deal and have a lot of experience from the University of Life, from whence I acquired knowledge, experience, and I hope some little wisdom. I was involved and worked closely with the University of Venda, now a University of Technology, the Vaal Triangle Technikon, which became the Vaal University of Technology, Technikon Witwatersrand, where I had the honor and the privilege of becoming chairman of the Board of Trustees, and a very venerable seat of learning, the University of the Free State. I learned a great deal through my association with these universities, their academic staff and their students, and despite not having a university qualification, I have been moderately successful in my life because my life has been what I made it. So you, dear graduates, are the future. You are the forthcoming leaders. You are the ones who will help this wonderful country of ours become even better than what it is. And if I could do it, so can you. So, my friends, go out and make your lives. And thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.